Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, number 59. I'm Fred Green. Today we're talking about putting. Love to talk about putting. Now, when this interview was originally conducted in September of 2008, Andy Thompson's company, which we referred to throughout the interview, was TotallyDriven.com. He no longer owns that business. Now you can find him at AndyThompsonPuttingCoach.com. So a little history. Back in 2005, Andy purchased one of the very first Edel fitting carts. And Andy has focused exclusively on putting and putter fitting and studied with the likes of David Edel, Mark Sweeney of Aimpoint, and Putting Zone's Jeff Mangum. Andy has worked with multiple tour professionals, college coaches, college players, top amateurs, and also helped those just starting to play. If you're struggling with your putter, curing putting yips is another area of Andy's expertise. All that is to say, I think it's time to get him back on Golf Smarter for an update. So stay tuned for that. Welcome to Golf Smarter, Andy.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. I'm really fascinated by Totally Driven. I think we found you. I think Jeff Mangum turned me on to you. Is that true? I think it was a listener.
I think I actually listened to one of the Jeff Mangum podcasts and thought that David Edel would be a good guest for you. I turned you on to David Edel, and we talked a little bit and decided that it'd be good for me to be on here.
That's right. You were the one who referred you. You referred somebody else, and I said, no, I want you on the show, too.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Well, there you go. You just never know where it's going to head.
Well, I'm happy to be on. Excited about it and appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's because you have some interesting things to talk about, and I wanted to start with your company, Totally Driven, has a interesting business model. It doesn't seem to follow most business models for golf instruction companies, and I don't even know if we can call it a golf instruction company. There's so many different ways we can do it. How do you see it, and what is the model?
Well, we actually have a tagline. We call ourselves the Ultimate Golf Improvement Center. And what we try to do is encompass all the elements of golf improvement under one roof. So we do professional custom club fitting here, teaching and lessons, and golf-related exercise as well. So we've tried to basically put everything under one roof. If somebody's looking to try to get better, sometimes they don't know where to start. And, I found out because I didn't really come from the golf industry, and I was just looking to try to get better myself. And in my search to try to do that, I found that I had to go to one place to get custom club fit, had to go to another place to take lessons, to go to another place to work on my physical capabilities. And I just thought, wouldn't it be cool to just have this all under one roof so I could get to trust some people, get to know some people, and they could help me put together all facets of my game, knowing exactly where I've been and where I want to go. So that was the impetus to putting the business together.
And how's it working? I mean, you're trying to experiment here. You got all these different things under one roof. Other people may not have figured that out, or they're afraid of going in that direction. How's it working for you?
It's working great. We're learning as we go, and we're getting better all the time. The main thing is to have good partners to work with, and we've tried to really associate ourselves with the best people out there in the industry. That's why we've talked about Jeff Mangum a little bit and David Edel. We've dropped a couple names, but I searched those folks out because I felt they were the best in the industry as far as putting is concerned. We work with the Titleist Performance Institute, which I feel is the best golf-related exercise company to be dealing with. We also work with Max Out Golf out of California, who do a lot of research and design work for professional club fitting. They've got some really unique tools, and we really want to associate ourselves with the best. So we learn from our partners every day. We learn from each other every day. We work together. There's three of us in the business, Lynn Anderson, John Weedman, and myself. And we all have different strengths, and we all learn from each other. So it's been a fun go.
And you mentioned Lynn Anderson, and she runs your fitness aspect of your business, correct? Through the Titleist?
Lynn does all of our fitness, and she does most of our teaching as well. Lynn is an excellent teacher, and what makes Lynn unique is that she not only understands the golf fitness side of it and body, biomechanics, but she also understands the golf swing. She played on the LPGA Futures Tour and is a teacher as well as knowing how to club fit. So Lynn really covers all areas of the business except for the club building, which we readily leave to John Weedman, as he is the expert there. So it's really neat to have somebody in-house that really understands golf from all those angles. So Lynn is really a valuable part of our business.
So what is the aspect of the business, since you're not teaching, or you are teaching?
I do some teaching. Right now I'm focusing on putting. I've been certified through Jeff Mangum's putting zone. So I'm a putting zone instructor. I'm also working with Lynn to develop my full swing teaching capabilities. I do a little bit in that area, primarily working with Lynn. But I'll be learning some more. I'm planning on going through some more certifications through the golfing machine. And I've got some contacts that I'm going to be working with there.
And when you talk about your partners like Titleist Performance Institute and Jeff Mangum and Edel, right? Sorry.
Yep.
These people, you have to be a licensee of them. How does that work? Or is it certification?
Yeah, with Jeff Mangum, it's a certification that we went through, and Jeff advertises that on his website. And I searched Jeff out via his website. I actually met him at the PGA show. So, we've been in touch with each other for well over a year, and finally put it together. With David Edel, I ran into David at the PGA show down in Orlando, and it was kind of a funny circumstance, but I happened to be standing in line for something and was talking about trying to find a putter fitting system, and the gentleman in front of me, which is a teaching pro, his name is Mike Schei, said, well, I know the best putter fitting system in the world. And I said, well, I'd love to see it. Who is it and where is it? And he introduced me to David Edel, and we hit it off pretty quickly and decided we wanted to have a system in here. So we worked with David. David came to Minneapolis, trained us in, John, Lynn, and I all in how to do successful putter fitting using his elaborate world-class putter fitting system. And likewise with Max Out Golf, I contacted Max Out. I had been on their website, done a lot of research, and felt like they were a group that we wanted to be a part of, and called them to see if they had some interest in working with Totally Driven. Through a number of conversations, we decided we had some good synergy and put something together.
Well, David Edel, will be on the show soon as well. Thank you for the introduction on that one. But I'm not familiar with Max Out Golf. What do they do?
Max Out Golf, they're basically custom professional club fitters. But what they've got is they've got some robotics. They've got some very interesting technology which they've developed. And one of the key pieces of technology that they have developed is called the Shaft Max. And this device actually, through a test club and a device that clips on your wrist, measures how you load the golf shaft during the golf swing, which is a critical piece of information for club fitting, and almost no one has access to this. In fact, no one to my knowledge other than Max Out Golf has access to this information. Totally Driven has been looking into this for years, and we've tried to get there in different ways. There's been a few different devices that have been out on the marketplace, but fraught with some holes in them, and we've tried those, as well as we've tried using high-speed camera to be able to capture where the load is occurring in the golf swing. But none of these is nearly as effective as the Shaft Max that Max Out has developed. So it's a very, very unique, very powerful tool that Max Out has, and we wanted to take advantage of it, as well as their state-of-the-art launch monitor, which we have found to be the best out in the market. So we're quite happy to be connected with MaxOut. They also have the golf ball selector, which is a brand agnostic tool which allows people to determine which golf ball would be the best golf ball for them.
Oh, that's got to be very valuable.
Yeah, it is. And we get people asking that all the time, and we've done ball fittings before, but we've never really had a tool that is as dynamic as the golf ball selector. So it is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that you called it brand agnostic, because you see advertisements for Bridgestone and how they're trying to fit people into golf balls, but it's Bridgestone, so they're trying to get you into a Bridgestone ball and compare it to the other balls. But yours can determine which ball is best based on a number of factors, including what?
Well, the key elements that you plug in, and it has to come from a club fitter typically, is ball speed off the driver, launch angle from the driver, and backspin rate off of the driver. Once those key pieces of information are put in there, I think there's a series of about 17 more questions that the golfer has to answer themselves. And most of them are really just subjective questions as to what their preferences are, what they're looking for. Are they looking for distance? Are they looking for accuracy? Is it more important for them to have feel? And then it gets into individual clubs and really rating those in a priority order. So, it takes about 20 minutes to go through the process, and the cool thing is you can go back through the process multiple times, so you can go through, determine which ball would be appropriate for you, or a list of balls that you might want to try. And then if you're not getting quite the results that you're looking for, or think that you maybe want to rethink your answers, you can go back into the system and plug in some new answers to the questions.
So most of the questions are subjective, but the cold hard data is what comes off the driver? Swinging.
Yeah, well, the cold hard data actually comes off of MaxOut's testing equipment, robotics, and testing equipment that they have in their site in California.
Interesting. So I got to imagine, now let's talk about the golfer. When someone walks into your place of business and totally driven, and they're looking to do some game improvement, I'm sure the obvious first question is, I want to be more consistent, right? So with all the different opportunities that you present, how do you know where to begin with a person if they're just saying, no, I just want to clean up my swing? But, you're looking at their equipment, you're looking at their swing, you're looking at their body with the exercise. So how do you make the determination where to begin with each student?
That's a great question, Fred. And we get asked this quite often. And we do have something called the ultimate analysis. So one opportunity that we allow golfers to select from is to be able to come in and let us do an analysis and determine where they need to start in what priority order. So we take a look at their golf swing, we take a look at their current clubs, and we take a look at their physical capabilities, and we determine an initial game plan as to what we think would be appropriate for them to take their game to the next level in a priority order. And then we get their input. This is really for people that are really motivated to trying to improve their game, don't know where to start, and we do offer this service. But quite frankly, where most of the people find us is they come in for typically a club fitting or a lesson, and they come in and in fact, I had one today. I had a customer came in, wanted to go through a club fitting for irons and woods, and got into it a little bit, and I could see the customer's swing was not going to be able to provide me with the results I was looking for in order for me to be comfortable that I was giving him the best possible equipment that I could. And what I suggested after putting him on some video is that we take a look at his golf swing first. So we always want to give the customer what they're looking for, but we always try to be honest with the customer as well. So it would be a disservice for us to custom fit somebody when their golf swing is in need of work, and if that's really the first place to start, obviously we're going to want them to go in that direction and start with the golf swing before we start taking a look at equipment. It can work in the other direction as well. I mean, somebody comes in looking for lessons, their swing looks fine, but as we're doing the lesson, we look at their equipment and find out that they're playing clubs that look like they're about an inch too long, or too flexible, or too stiff, or a bad lie angle, or what have you. And we may go in that direction based on what we see there too. So that's what's neat about having all of these elements under one roof. We can go any direction. We obviously want to do what the customer is looking to do, but we want to do it in the best way possible.
How often do you see people coming in with the wrong clubs for them?
Well, that's a good question as well, Fred, and we do things a little different here, a little different than a retail store would do it. We always have them come in with their current equipment. So we never come to the conclusion that the customer is coming in needing new clubs. Sure. We take a look at their current equipment and determine if their current equipment is suitable for them. So to answer your question...
Yeah, so the question is then, when they come in with their own clubs, you go, you shouldn't be playing with these, and how do you maintain your credibility? Because it may look like you're just trying to sell them a new set of clubs.
Well, you'd be surprised at the amount of times that customers come in with equipment, and if they come in for a full fitting, it's quite often that we're looking at their irons or their putter or their driver and saying, you know what? This is just fine for you. I mean, if you want to spend some more money and get something new and different, we can do that, but I don't think it's going to perform much better than what you have. I mean, we can do a side-by-side analysis on a launch monitor, and if we can't beat their driver, there's no sense them spending the money on a new driver. I'd rather have them spend their money on
lessons,
irons or lessons or putting, whatever's needed.
Yeah.
So, it in a way, it really helps our credibility if somebody comes in looking for clubs and we look at their clubs and say, hey, you know what, this isn't really what you need.
Right, but again, I'm going to come back to this question of how often do you see people who do come in and don't have the right clubs? I mean, because most people buy stuff right off the shelf. They don't get fitted most of the time, right?
Yeah, most often people come in dire need of equipment. I'll be honest, but it's probably 15 to 20% of the time in any general fitting that we're going to find that either their equipment is just fine, or maybe it just needs to be tweaked a little bit, and we need to change some loft and lie angles. Grips need to be changed out. We need to lengthen or shorten the shafts or reshaft. It's not always starting from new. But it is quite often that people are buying clubs off the rack, they're uninformed, and they're coming in with equipment that is not suitable for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that it's going to be tough to tell them that. Do most people, how do I word this one for you? Do a lot of golfers have unreasonable expectations about what they want out of their game? For themselves?
I don't think so, to be quite honest.
Really?
Fred, our mission statement is to transform people's game to a level they never thought was possible. So we're really trying to expand horizons, and quite frankly, I don't think people have high enough expectations of their golf game. Many people come in 15 handicap, and the first thing they say when we ask, what are you trying to do, and what are you trying to improve, and what are your goals? They're trying to get down to a 12, and we're liking to challenge them to, why don't we get you down to a single digit? Why don't we get you down to a 5? Why do we need to stop at a 12? And because we think that we have the ability to do that with all these elements. Mm-hmm. Now you have to have a person that's willing to put in time and effort on their side to make that happen. But there's many people out there that do, and they just don't know where to turn, and they don't know what they don't know.
But they think they know.
Well, there's a lot of information, and
so much
I would say some
information.
misinformation out there in golf magazines and television and ads, and people learn what they want to learn, and they learn what the advertisers want them to learn.
Oh, thank you for not saying podcasts.
But there's a lot more to it than that. Yeah, I didn't want to throw that one in, Fred.
So what is the single that you would say, I don't know if you can say the single greatest improvement that most golfers that come through your doors can make that will lower scores? Where do you see the biggest opportunity to improve?
It's probably the area that people spend the least amount of time on, and it's really improving their short game and putting. Putting makes up 40% typically of the strokes during a round of golf.
Yeah, and 50% on your scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like a yogi quote there. And then, the short game, when you add in the short game, chipping and pitching and putting all together, that's over 50% of the game. And quite frankly, people don't spend near enough attention to that. The other areas of greatest opportunity would be professionally club fit, or being professionally club fit. Golf-related exercise. Course management is another area that really gets short shrift. So those are the biggest opportunities that I see for people in improving their golf game. Short game putting.
And they go out to the driving range and pull out their driver, right?
Yep, they love to hit the driver out there.
Love to hit the driver. And that's not going to boost your confidence level any either. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, I think they made that up. Drive for show and putt for dough for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. But why do we all want to show? We all want to show.
It's cool.
It is cool. Look at how far it went. And what I like to say is it's not how far, it's how close. Right?
Exactly. Golf is a game of precision, and it's about getting the ball in the hole in as quickly as in the shortest amount of strokes as you can. And that doesn't always mean hitting it 300 yards.
It's so interesting that it's a game of precision, but it's not a game of perfection.
It absolutely is not a game of perfection.
No. Why would we watch so often if it was? So let's talk about putting. You work with Jeff Mangum, as do we. He's a fan favorite around here. Besides the fact that he's so entertaining, he's so knowledgeable about putting. Let's talk about for a minute of what you've gotten out of the putting zone and what it is to be certified to work with Jeff.
Well, Jeff, obviously is a very interesting gentleman, very knowledgeable. I would tell you that Jeff is probably the most intelligent man that I've ever met in my life. Not just about putting, but just about anything. I mean, you go to his website at puttingzone.com. You can read and learn a lot about putting and a lot of other things. And you'll find when you get on the forums that Jeff is very, very knowledgeable person. Mm-hmm. So, I learned a lot about putting, the scientific aspects of putting. Jeff doesn't go into things half-heartedly. He wants to make sure that he's tested things scientifically and that they make sense, and that he's looked at every other possibility that's out there. So there really, with Jeff, are not too many ifs in the equation. He leaves things open, but when things need to be a certain way, he'll tell you why they need to be a certain way, and it makes sense.
Sure. Well, he is opinionated.
He is very opinionated.
But he's got
most golf professionals. So there's nothing different there with Jeff than other people in that regard. But one thing that is different with Jeff is that he can back up what he says.
Yeah.
Because he usually has done research and done some testing and figured out what is correct.
That's what I was going to say, is that he is opinionated, but boy, does he have stuff to back it up. He's incredible. He
really does. When you get on the website there, and you've probably been on there, Fred, it's just enormous. And I've actually talked to him about trying to cut it down, and
I'm glad somebody has.
and trying to get it to the point where just get the pertinent stuff on there and allow people to navigate around a little bit more quickly without having to go through anything and everything about putting, which is I think what he set out to do, and I think he's obviously done that if you've been on the site. But he's got just fantastic knowledge, fantastic information in there, and I can't say enough about what we learned about putting from Jeff Mangum.
Yeah, well, and from your students, now that you're teaching Jeff's, and also we should remind everybody that Jeff is on Golf Smarter Tips every Friday. We have different instructors every day of the week, and Jeff is focusing on putting every Friday to get you into your weekend round. So please subscribe to that program. But for your students and the people that come through your doors, what are the things about putting that they think they understand but are really just off point that have to be straightened out?
Well, a lot of them have come in with what I would call really almost myths of putting. I mean, they come back in thinking that they need to go straight back, straight through, or putt with an arc, and many of them think that they're putting straight back and straight through. And when I put them on our Sam Putt Lab, which is a device that measures 28 different parameters about their putting, we, quite frankly, very seldom find somebody that can putt straight back and straight through. And the other thing that I learned from Jeff is really not that important. It's important that the putter be going straight at impact and past impact for 8 to 10 inches. But other than that, if they arc it going back, it really doesn't matter. Other myths that we see is people coming in thinking that they aim their putter straight. With the Adele system that we have, every person that comes in here that goes through a putter fitting, they're going to see how they aim their putter, and I will tell you that 9 out of 10 of them at least are going to have their eyeballs just about popping out of their head when they see how they aim their putter, because we put a laser, we line up a laser to their putter face, put a mirror on their putter face, and have them line up to a ball. Once I pull the ball away, they get a reflection off of that mirror onto a black surface, and they see exactly where they're aiming their putter. And I can tell you that at least 90% of them cannot aim their putter where they think they're aiming it.
So tell us how to do that.
Well, Jeff can tell you how to do that, and we help people try to aim their putter. And there's two ways of doing it, really. It's Jeff's way, which is trying to get people set up correctly and use the tips that the putting zone instructors can utilize with people to help them aim their putter correctly by lining it up correctly in the first place, and then lining up the body correctly to the putter using the neckline as the basis, learning how to turn your head, which I believe I just heard in the last podcast that Jeff did, so I won't go into great detail there, in the proper manner to be able to determine if you are aiming the putter correctly from the side. But also using the Adele system, which has it's over 20 million combinations in his fitting cart, and with that fitting cart we can determine what putter exactly we can get somebody aiming correctly with. So we use either one. It doesn't matter to me. We're looking for results. So if we need to fit somebody in a putter, we'll fit somebody in a putter. If we can get somebody aiming their current putter straight, that's great. Oftentimes it may be a combination of both, and we need to get people set up correctly, and we need to put them in the correct putter.
Very good. Andy, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for the referrals, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Fred. Keep up the good work.